tonight. The federal and provincial governments have both put significant funding into improving mining infrastructure in BC. Plus, communities are no longer being ranked based on crime rates, a category Prince George has not fared well in the past. And a cannabis street festival went down this past weekend in Prince George. Good evening, folks. I'm Eddie Huband, and welcome to CKPG News. Our top story, the federal environment minister has confirmed that all fires inside the town site of Jasper are now out. The broader wildfire does remain a threat, though, and with fire conditions expected to worsen this week, there was an emotional boost today. 200 firefighters and support staff from South Africa arrived in Edmonton. As per tradition, they sang South African songs and danced upon arrival. Our top story tonight looks at what the crews are set to face in the week ahead.
With Jasper National Park evacuated, the wildlife are making themselves at home. Having survived the fire's worst last week by hiding out along the Athabasca River, a grizzly and her 2 cubs are now enjoying the quieted community.
The effects of fire can be quite variable on wildlife, so some populations of species tend to react negatively or respond negatively to wildfire. Others don't show any sort of changes, and others actually benefit from fire.
Though that benefit, Leah says, can turn to harm if intense fire is able to come back to an area again and again. And after several days of rain and cool temperatures in Jasper, fire crews are bracing for a second round.
From Tuesday onward, we're looking at some very hot, dry conditions. On Wednesday, we could see those southwesterly winds picking up just a little bit, but it doesn't take much. And then once we get to the end of the week and into the long weekend, temperatures are back into the 30s.
It took just 2 days from ignition for the Jasper wildfire complex to become the raging inferno that destroyed part of this much-loved mountain town.
The simple fact is that sometimes there are no tools or resources capable of overcoming a wildfire of the magnitude that we faced this week.
The head of Parks Canada says thanks to regular controlled burns and extensive planning, Jasper was well prepared, if not the most prepared community in Canada to face a fire's threat.
The problem was not for lack of coordination or resources, but because they were facing a raging inferno that defied conventional firefighting tools.
Every prevention effort, it seems, no match for the drought, heat, and wind. Severe weather that appears to be on its way back again.
And with more on the wildfire front in BC, Adam Burles joins us now to break things down for a little update. Adam, we'll start here. What are the number of fires currently active in the province? I know we did get some rain this past weekend.
Yeah, so we're currently sitting at, as of this taping, 359 fires burning throughout the province. 168 of those are out of control, 117 are fully under control, and 74 are being held. That is an improvement from late last week, Friday, when we were sitting at around 430 active fires. So crews have managed to get control over a bunch of smaller fires, spot fires that were sparked last week. And so the majority of fires in the province now are on the controlled side of things. So we're starting to see the tides change a bit in terms of getting a hand on some of the fires that have been burning for weeks now.
Now, one of the fires we've been monitoring closely was the Antler Creek fire impacting the communities of Wells and Barkerville. What's the latest on those evacuation orders that were rescinded?
So we mentioned last week that on Friday or Thursday or Friday that the orders for Wells and Barkerville had been lifted. Well, now the alerts have been lifted for both communities and for the Bowron Lake area, which was further east. So that's some good news on that front, indicating that recent precipitation in recent days has really cooled down fire behavior on the Antler Creek fire, which is still sitting at around 15,000 hectares. The District of Wells mentioned today that they feel that they were told by BC Wildfire Service crews that they're getting a good handle on the fire, which is always good news. And yeah, so we're again, like I mentioned before, that precipitation that we've been having that has rolled through the area in the last number of days has certainly helped with that fire complex.
So good news for the communities of Wells and Barker, and for the town of Barkerville as well. There was a lot of concern about protecting that historic site. Yep. So very good news on that front. Now, Now, the forecast moving forward, what should we look ahead to in terms of the wildfire front in this next week or so?
So we're going to see another few days of cool temperatures. Wednesday, we're supposed to get some more rain. Wednesday, there's a chance tomorrow for Tuesday, a greater chance on Wednesday. And then by Thursday, Friday, we're going to see temperatures pick up. Environment Canada showing somewhere around 26, 28 degrees heading into the long weekend. So things are going to warm up again. That's not unusual. It's going to be the beginning of August, which is normally the driest month of the year. But with that being said, we're not going to see, as of right now, we're not going to see those extreme temperatures that we saw a couple weeks ago with the extreme heat warning. So things are looking a bit better, a little bit less windy conditions once that warm front moves in.
All right, Adam Burles, thank you very much for that. And we will continue to monitor things and update you as we see fit. Adam Burles, thank you for that report. The number of emergency room and hospital closures throughout northern and central BC has officials with many communities up in arms. Rallies are being held this week to protest what they call a lack of adequate health care for the region. Cheryl Jan reports.
The list of openings for registered nurses in Prince George alone takes up 14 pages of Northern Health's job listings. That doesn't include the smaller rural communities, and those communities, both in Northern Health and Interior Health, are suffering from hospital and emergency room closures due to staff shortages, something BC United leader Kevin Falcon addressed during a media briefing.
There were 55 closures in Northern Health just in July alone. Northern and Interior Health, 55 closures. And right here in Interior Health, 27 in the month of July alone. I can tell you that is substandard care for a large part of the population of this province.
The district of Mackenzie has undergone a number of hospital closures as early as this past weekend. But the mayor of that community, who admittedly is a glass half full kind of person, says everyone is doing what they can to address the issue.
Do I think Northern Health or the provincial government are working to withhold medical services to our communities? Certainly not. You know, it's a very difficult situation, and this is not a Northern BC problem or a British Columbia problem. It's right across the country. There are not enough health professionals.
With the official end of COVID-19 as a public health emergency, the BC vaccination mandate order is lifted.
I'm glad they've done it. I've always said it's never the wrong time to make the right decision, but by God, we're paying a huge price by having sidelined thousands of healthcare workers at a time when we so desperately need them. So let's just hope that they can be hired immediately, especially those nurses and doctors and care aides, and help us in the crisis that we're in today.
And that's a sentiment shared by Mayor Atkinson, who says every little bit helps.
Those people who unfortunately felt they had to step away from their jobs did it for their own personal reasons, and we have to respect that. So I'm just hoping that they recognize how desperate our province needs their skill and expertise.
She adds everyone in her community has access to a doctor as well as ambulance services, adding anything serious would be treated out of Prince George anyway. Cheryl Jan, CKPG News.
We'll shift gears now. In recognition of the importance of what are called critical minerals to a green economy, nearly $200 million in federal and provincial funding has come through to provide some upgrades to mining infrastructure in BC. Much needed upgrades at that. Cheryl Jan reporting once again.
The Red Chris mine in BC's northeast is one of a few mines in the Golden Triangle. A $195 million investment in infrastructure will improve access to that mine and others.
The highway improvements first will enable safer and more efficient access and movement of people and goods, which will support the local economy in Northwest BC, while also creating new jobs and contract opportunities in the mining, supply, and services sector in Prince George and urban centers even further south.
Electricity along Highway 37 was recently introduced, and this will add to that investment.
So this $195 million announcement investing into upgrades on Highways 37 and 51 it's absolutely essential. For the local communities, it means so much in terms of safety and reliability. But for industry, it also means a good access into areas and being reliable for trucks that are hauling out ore and bringing in supplies for mines.
Two words were on everyone's lips at the most recent Natural Resources Forum: Critical minerals. Those are the minerals needed for clean energy, digital technology, and telecommunications, as just an example. The Red Chris mine is part of that Golden Triangle.
It's really important to recall that the Golden Triangle hosts 75% of Canada's copper, which is essential to electrification. And it also hosts other critical minerals like zinc, nickel, cobalt, for example.
And to see the federal government put forward some investment funds is a huge step.
It's great to see that this is the first tranche of federal funding coming out of the federal government's Critical Mineral Infrastructure Act. It's nice to see funding coming out of Ottawa to British Columbia. We hope to see more of this funding.
Work on those roadworks could get underway as early as this year, but likely next. Cheryl Jan, CKPG News.
Following his father's battle with cancer and eventual passing, one northern BC runner is running 144 kilometers to fundraise for the Canadian Cancer Society. The second annual 144 kilometers for Marcus will begin on August 10th, where Noah Allison will embark on a 7-day journey run from Prince Rupert to Terrace. Having seen his father Marcus pass away due to cancer, Noah says he wants to do his part and decided this ultra marathon would be the best way to honor his late father. Noah says that running grew to be very personal for him. He ran every day while Marcus was battling cancer in the hospital, and it was during one of his daily runs where he decided he would step up to contribute in the battle against cancer.
I couldn't stop thinking about making a change and doing something positive, not only for my father, but for all the people that I'd seen along the way that had struggled and didn't have a choice. At that point, I decided I was going to do something about it. So I started brainstorming, and what really stuck to me was how how passionate I'd become, and how much running had been able to help me throughout my days.
The lowest gas price in Prince George is sitting at $1.71.9 per litre at Costco. The lowest price in the province right now is in Chilliwack at $1.58.9 per litre. Manitoba has the lowest fuel prices on average in the country at $1.51.9 per litre, while BC has an average price of $1.77.7 per litre.
Good evening, everybody. Hope you stayed dry today on a bit of a wet and misery Monday here in the Prince George area. Unfortunately, a little bit more of that on tap for us as we look ahead. A cooling system coming through the province, and that's going to potentially bring some rain tomorrow. More expected to be arriving on Wednesday for us here in the Prince George area. Some good news, the air quality is good across the region. Prince George, Quesnel, Vanderhoof, all good as the wildfire smoke has certainly calmed down a little bit from where we were recently. Our snapshot of the day, a beautiful shot. This is when there was a little bit more smoke in the sky, a beautiful orange moon. If you want to send a snapshot into us, you can do so. Send that to snapshot@ckpg.com. I'll be back with your full weather in just a little bit.
Michael Reeve on the weather today. Thank you very much, Michael. We will check back in later on in the show. I love that picture, by the way, of that sort of blood orange moon. Beautiful stuff. In the meantime, though, national crime stats were released, and one notable feature that's usually included was absent this time around. Adam Burles explains why the most dangerous cities list was kept out and how that's good news for the city of Prince George.
National crime statistics in Canada for 2023 have been released, and the volume and severity of police-reported crime in Canada, which is measured by the Crime Severity Index, or CSI, has increased for the third consecutive year, up 2% in 2023. Large shifts in certain types of crime, such as fraud and shoplifting, led to an increase in the non-violent crime rate, while violent crime numbers remained virtually unchanged. For the 2023 set of statistics, the most dangerous cities in Canada list was omitted, something that Councillor Trudy Claassen is glad to see gone.
It was incredibly important, and to be honest, we weren't sure as a group whether this would actually happen because attempts had been made before, but I think what made the difference this time is because of the number of different cities that were represented at that conference, and with it being 12 cities from across, mostly northern Canada.
Councillor Clausen says that by ranking cities every year in terms of who was the most dangerous was not helping anyone.
Government is supposed to be there to help people, but by ranking cities against each other to show who was the most dangerous city in Canada, that was hurting everyone and it wasn't helping anyone. And so it's a huge relief. And I'll say the evidence in our success was that on Thursday there was no headline blaring, which city in Canada was the most dangerous.
MP Todd Doherty says that if the Conservative Party is elected in the next federal election, they will take a different approach to dealing with crime.
We're definitely taking notes, and when we get back in after the next election, we will focus on jail and not bail, and whether that means repealing or replacing, we'll determine that at that time. But Canadians will definitely see a better society.
Councillor Clausen says that work continues to deal with the issues that our city faces when it comes to crime, but not having the dangerous cities list is a relief.
Not only are we trying to deal with the issues in our community, the issues that are mentioned in the Crime Severity Index, those issues that are measured, but it felt almost like we were fighting our own government in order to try to improve. And so at least this is one thing that we don't have to fight against anymore, and that is a massive success.
Adam Burles, CKPG News.
BC residents are being warned to watch out for a hitman fraud scam at work in the province. Prince George RCMP say scammers target their victims with text messages or emails that say the sender's being sent to kill them. The sender then offers to cancel this would-be contract on the victim's life in exchange for a large sum of funds via cryptocurrency. The Mounties are urging people to review their publicly available details and change their privacy settings, as criminals often find personal information about their victims through online searches. Back in Prince George, for the second time in 3 months, the city once again had a cannabis street festival, as George Street was closed for Dancing in the Streets Summerfest that took place on Saturday. Tommy Osborne was at the festival and brings us the details.
Downtown Prince George once again saw a cannabis street festival, as the success of the 420 event in April and the economic boost that brought inspired event organizers to host another festival. With a safe consumption site, live music, dancers, food trucks, local businesses, and more, Dancing in the Street Summerfest was a great time for many involved.
We've been successful 2 years in a row in Kelowna. We wanted to bring our event around to other areas of the province and showcase other areas and bring that, that revenue, that $350,000 to the community.
Beyond being a fun way for many to spend a Saturday afternoon, events like this are also fantastic for our community's economy and for helping small local businesses grow and get out there.
It's definitely a great way to get started. Compared to just posting on social media, to being at all these markets and all these events this year, I've made huge progress on my business.
These are the heartbeat of every community, shopping local and keeping your money within your town and supporting small businesses.
Supporting local businesses and local growers is a key part of these events, but education and destigmatizing cannabis is also a large focus, as organizers say normalizing cannabis consumption is vital for helping grow cannabis tourism and the economy.
By doing these events, we do get to market our products, but we get to educate everybody. People don't need to be afraid of the plant. They don't need to be afraid that it's a drug. We just got to get out there and make sure that people understand. And just as easy as it is to go to the beer garden when you're at a music festival, you can stop and consume when you're at a festival as well.
On education, Fresnel adds there is a big misconception that cannabis is all about THC, and she hopes events like this can shed light on the other components of cannabis.
There's so much more to the plant. THC is one minor component of the cannabis plant, and that's where you get the education with the terpenes and the entourage effect and the benefits of CBD and things like that. Cannabis is medicine for many people, and that's where we feel that we can break the stigma.
As cannabis tourism continues to grow in our province, it's likely Prince George will see more of these festivals in the not-so-distant future. Tommy Osborne, CKPG News.
CKPG Sports is delivered by Domino's. Join the Domino's Lunch Club with 25% off all regular price pizzas every day. Visit domino's.ca to join the club.
How about some local football news now? The Prince George Kodiaks suffered their first loss of the season on Saturday, falling in a road game 45-25 to the West Shore Rebels, and that drops their record to 1-1 on the season. The defense just couldn't keep the Kodiaks close in this one, particularly in the second quarter, where West Shore outscored Prince George 28-7 to blow this game open. Rebels quarterback Ethan Picard was solid. He went 19 for 28, good for 275 yards, with 2 touchdown passes and just 1 interception. For the Kodiaks, meanwhile, quarterback Sawyer Thiessen was still very good, 25 for 47 with 285 yards and a touchdown. He did have 2 picks on the day. The Kodiaks head to Langley this weekend to take on the Rams. That goes on Saturday, August 3rd. Jared Young of Prince George was acquired earlier this week by the Doosan Bears of the Korea Baseball Organization. He's slated to make $300,000 US for the remainder of the season, according to Yonhap News Agency. The 29-year-old was drafted in 2017 by the Chicago Cubs of the MLB and played in 22 games for the Major League Baseball franchise. He's been playing AAA in the St. Louis Cardinals system.
Good evening, everybody. A bit of a wet Monday for us here in the Prince George area as we do take a look at that satellite imagery, which shows this system kind of building off the coast and then really the vast majority of the province of BC getting wet today on Monday, and potentially some more systems moving into the area, which we'll deal with through the first half of the week before we do see things begin to heat up. Here is that future cast showing you those storms rolling through the area. A little bit of a chance tomorrow. There will be more rain in the forecast for Wednesday for us here in Prince George. So your highs tomorrow across BC. Prince George 20 degrees. Down in Kamloops, they're nearing the 30 mark once again. 21 in Vancouver and 18 down on the coast. 17 and rain for Terrace. Here in our broadcast region, Mackenzie 20, Fort St. James 21, Vanderhoof 20, Prince George 20, Quesnel 23, and McBride 23 as well. Burns Lake also going to reach 20 degrees tomorrow. Across the country we go, 31 in Regina, 32 in Winnipeg, Toronto 27, and some rain over on the east coast as well. Halifax 25 degrees and rain for them tomorrow. So this is that late week system we've been mentioning, starting to move in and bringing some warmer temperatures beginning Thursday and into the BC Day long weekend. It's going to start down south of the border and begin to push up and bring with it those more summer and more routine temperatures that we're so used to with it. So as we get into your extended forecast here for Burns Lake, 8 degrees overnight tonight before reaching 20 degrees tomorrow. There is that chance of precipitation on Wednesday. That's that second ridge of the storm. Then it'll begin to calm on Thursday and then heat up for your weekend, 24, 25, 24. Thankfully, those overnight lows down at 6 degrees means there will still be that little bit of relief for you from these warmer temperatures. Mackenzie, 11 degrees overnight tonight, 20 and 21. There's that 84% chance of precipitation on Wednesday before we begin to heat up once more, 25, 23, 22. Another beautiful long weekend ahead for those in Mackenzie. For McBride, 10 degrees and raining overnight. More rain on Tuesday, 67%, an 84% chance of rain on Wednesday. McBride may also be dealing with some rain on Thursday, but 29 degrees, and then 31 to start the weekend on Friday before 28, and then cooling down to a little bit more manageable 23 for your Sunday in McBride. Quesnel, 12 degrees overnight tonight. 23 tomorrow with that chance of rain. Again, Wednesday will have a smaller chance of precipitation at 41% before the sunshine starts shining through. A little bit of sparse clouds, 26, 29, 29, 27 as you approach the weekend. No chance for a heat warning though, with those overnight lows dipping low enough to prevent any sort of action from Environment Canada. So for us here in Prince George, 12 degrees overnight tonight. Tomorrow, 20 degrees is your high. You see on Wednesday that chance of rain does return with a high of 21. We could also see that rain potentially overnight Tuesday into Wednesday. Just depends on when that system officially hits us. Looking ahead to your BC Day long weekend, 26 degrees for Friday, 25 on Saturday, and again, 25 degrees and sunny for your BC Day long weekend Sunday.
CKPG Sports is delivered by Domino's. Join the Domino's Lunch Club with 25% off all regular price pizzas every day. Visit domino's.ca to join the club.
With the Olympics in full swing, let's take a quick peek at the medal situation going on right now. And after day 3, Canada sits 9th with 5 total medals. Some good news, they got their first golds of the games, courtesy of Krista Deguchi, in judoka. And then shortly after, Summer McIntosh took home Canada's second gold medal in women's 400-meter individual medley. Top 5 in the medal count. Japan sits at 1 with France 2nd, China 3rd, Australia 4th, and Korea rounding out the top 5. NFL training camp is in full swing, and to get you hyped up for the upcoming season, we bring you 3 of the top plays from last year in tonight's NFL-themed CKP3.
Starting off with a crazy touchdown catch.
Browning looking, pressured, throws it deep, and the ball is caught by T. Higgins at the 1-yard line. And it's actually called a touchdown.
Browning throws up a prayer, but T. Higgins is there to answer as he somehow tracks the ball, beats the defenders, and is able to just stretch the ball over the goal line. The best part? This play would tie the game and result in a Bengals overtime victory. Next up, Super Bowl trickery.
Juwan Jennings, trick play. Oh, this ball's in the air for a long time. McCaffrey's able to pull it down, and he's going in for the touchdown. Juwan Jennings with a touchdown pass.
The 49ers get creative on this play, as it's actually Juwan Jennings who throws this touchdown pass to superstar Christian McCaffrey, who then shows off his jets and has a wide open lane to score. Finally, walk-off winners.
Martin corrals the snap. It's a short punt. Gibson on the return. Near side. I don't see any flags. Gibson inside the 30. Hits the Jets. And he's gonna go. Jets win it. Touchdown. Rookie Xavier Gibson. Game over.
Welcome to the NFL, Xavier Gibson. It was the very first NFL game of Gibson's career, and he made a memory that will last a lifetime, as he and the Jets took down the division rival Buffalo Bills in Week 1 of Monday Night Football in tonight's CKP3.
Hello from the CKPG Today side. Got a cool one coming up over here. A little stop. We're going to take the Central BC Railway and Forestry Museum for a new exhibit they have called Jack and Drill. And their summer students helped put this one together. Very educational about the history of machinery and how it relates to forestry and railway. Applicable right here in Prince George. A lot of Prince George history in that too. Also, we're going to take a little feature with the BC Wildfire Service, explain to you how to use their app and website, because there's a lot of info on there. You just might not be able to find your way there to get it. We're going to show you the tips and tricks today on that. Over here, over to you on the other side. You looking forward to the Jack and Drill segment? What's the coolest piece of machinery you've ever worked on?
Good question. Nothing really comes to mind there. Maybe like a snowblower or something like that, Caden, but looking forward to that segment. Maybe I'll learn something. To finish up our show, though, what has 4 legs and an iron stomach? Goats. And the PG Animal Rescue is looking for someone to adopt a goat herd. Take a look.
And people called me garbage guts. These goats were surrendered by the Baldy Hughes Treatment Center to the PG Animal Rescue. Now the goats are in search of green pastures and even greener watermelon rinds.
Unfortunately, the treatment center is shutting down. Hopefully it's just going to be a temporary thing, and then they'll start up again on a bigger, better level. But in the meantime, we took on the 5 goats that were there.
The goats will need a little bit of love and care, but Redpath suggests they would work well for someone hoping to get into 4-H.
They're friendly, but they're not, they're still a little bit timid, so they need a little bit of work.
And that work includes ensuring your property can handle these even-toed ungulates.
Goats are pretty famous for really testing fences. So a lot of people will have like a page wire type fence on there, like it's the wire, not barbed wire, that they can't get through and other predators can't get into. This is just a temporary spot for them. So you'd want something quite a bit bigger. They can even graze on larger pieces of land like the horses do.
If you want to adopt these gorgeous goats, you can fill out an adoption form on the PG Animal Rescue website.
What we do is we go in and we just do a home check, like an outdoor home check, obviously. We don't need to see inside somebody's house, just the outdoor, make sure that they're set up with the proper shelter and fencing is adequate. They've got a good hay supply, just basics like that.
Sam Bennison, CKPG News.
Those goats are interesting creatures, very interesting creatures. All right, that's all for now, folks. Thanks for joining us as always, and we will see you tomorrow. Have a great night.